go. Unfreaking believable. Unbelievable. I gotta be honest with you. That game drove me nuts. I cannot believe the Buccaneers lost that game. Wow. I don't even know what to say. Tough one. Man, that was an absolute blazer from Cooch, wasn't it? What a crazy game. The Bulls are bowl-bound for the third season in a row. An incredible performance. And listen, we know the competition. They did what they had to do. No more silver linings. No more moral victories. It was put up or shut up time. And boy, did they rise to the occasion.
What's going on, everybody? It's still cold. I shouldn't be complaining about how cold it is here. It's just cold in my house, but it is a little chilly here in the Tampa Bay area. But I know my friends up north, it's a lot colder there, so I won't complain. I love you all. What's going on, everybody? Happy Monday, February 9th. This should be a national holiday. It really should. But it is what it is. We would have been on anyway because the Monday after the Super Bowl is one of the best days to talk sports. I'm rocking my UT stuff today because, a big clean sweep for the boys at the Birdcage this weekend. Shout out to Coach Joe Urso. I didn't really plan on having the hoodie and the hat on, but that is where we are today. This is probably one of my favorite hoodies of all time, an Evo Shield hoodie from University of Tampa, and nobody can steal this from me ever, 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 ever. Make sure you follow me on all social media platforms, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, TikTok, Instagram. Like and subscribe on YouTube as well. A big thank you to our partners, Honest Hammer Custom Builders, LLC, and, of course, Evra Health as well. What a show we have for you guys today. We're going to talk a ton of football, obviously, because of the Super Bowl yesterday. Ian Beckles joins us at 12:30. That's why I watched the game with you last night. We'll also talk about, of course, Bad Bunny and the halftime show. Let's see, my top 3 commercials from the Super Bowl, the Buccaneers dodging a bullet, also the Olympics. Been jacked up about that the last couple of days, and then of course the phenomenal weekend on the hardcourt for USF, the women and the men doing their thing. I could not go to the men's game yesterday. The plan was to go there, but my team had other plans down in Bradenton. We had a game at 8:00 yesterday. We won 14-6, and then the team that we lost 17-2 on Saturday, we played them again on Sunday. They were the number 1 overall seed. We took them to extra innings. We lost 11-10, but to go from losing to a team 17-2 to taking them to extra innings and losing 11-10 on a walk-off, a step in the right direction. I loved it, but unfortunately, that made me not be able to go there and watch Brian Hodgson and the boys do their thing with a big win over Tulsa. First in the American Conference now are the men. The women with one of the best games that I've seen at the Yuengling Center ever. That's not hyperbole. Just to watch that game. Incredible job by Coach Michelle Woods-Baxter and the crew. We'll get into that in the 1:00 hour. Again, follow me at Recher. Like and subscribe on the program as well. If you guys want to join in on the conversations, questions, comments, concerns, leave them there at the bottom of the screen. Really good news I'm seeing from the Valspar. Patrick Cantlay, Billy Horschel, and Brooks Koepka going to be there. We will not have a show 2 Mondays from today. So media day, just like last year, I'm going to attend because I wasn't able to attend the entire time because I was working at WDAE. But I'll be there 2 Mondays from today. So giving you an update on the schedule. 2 Mondays from today, the 23rd, Valspar Media Day. No show that day. Also no show tomorrow and no show on Friday. Your boy has been burning the candle at both ends. And I tell everybody out there, make sure when you feel something like you're overdoing it and you're feeling a little overwhelmed, take some time for yourself, man. Take some time for your own physical and mental well-being. And I'm just feeling after getting up at 5:30 on Saturday, 5:30 a.m. on Sunday, going to the USF women's game on Saturday night, and just doing all the stuff with baseball. I got practice again today. I need a day tomorrow. And tomorrow is probably one of the slowest days of the year. No lightning hockey. Spring training isn't here yet. Football's over. Tomorrow is a good day to just kind of reset, relax, Watching Manchester United at 3:15 as they look for 5 wins in a row. 4 wins on the bounce after their win on Saturday against Tottenham. But to do some laundry and just kind of decompress a little bit. No show Friday as well. Got some stuff I got to take care of. That's more on the personal side. So no show Tuesday, no show Friday. But we'll have obviously the full show today, Wednesday, and Thursday. We'll have Eric Erlinson joining us on Wednesday, Ed Encina on Thursday, as well as Dr. Carlos Rodriguez, and a couple other irons in the fire as well. Might have a special guest on Wednesday, so I'll keep you guys abreast of that as the week goes on. Let's get to some of your questions or your comments here. Benny, that was definitely one of the Super Bowls of all time. You got that right. BRJ Yildevo. Hi, Jay. Hello. Greg DeCruz, no more football. Let the depression begin. I think you'll be okay, my brother. You live down in Costa Rica. David Terry, Liverpool blows another one. Unfreaking believable. Going up 1-0. They lose 2-1 to Manchester City. It's weird, DT, but I don't want Arsenal to win. I do not want them to win the league. So it's weird to kind of want to see Man City win, but kind of is what it is. Janet Best said the football's over 2. Boys in the birdcage. Yes, that's what they call the field where UT baseball plays at. Dolan in the house. What's up, Jay and all? Well, that concludes our football season. You got that right. No show Friday. No worries. I'll step in for you with my half-baked takes. The audience will never know the difference. Thanks, Chan. $5 with the super chat. Our guy Chan always doing a great job. All right. Last night's Super Bowl. And to me, listen, I'm not dogging anything that's going on. But the thing is with me is like, it was the most unoriginal and most predictable Super Bowl, I think, of my lifetime. It really was. I just, no disrespect. And again, when you don't have a dog in the fight, it is what it is, right? I respect all these teams. We knew that it was going to be more of a defensive struggle. We knew that it wasn't going to be this big outlandish offensive explosion. The team that was going to play sound football, play good defense, play good special teams. That was the team that was going to come out on top. And I said since the NFC and AFC championship games concluded that I thought this was going to be a win for the Seattle Seahawks. And I wasn't alone. And that's the thing. I'm not saying that I'm the only person that thought that. I think a lot of people did. Just because they were sound in all 3 phases of the football, offensively, defensively, and special teams. And shout out to the special teams with the amount of field goals that were kicked and the incredible placement on the punch. Jay Harbaugh, the coach of the team, the Harbaughs win another ring, which is pretty cool. Those are the little things that we often talk about on the show that sets apart a good team from a great team from a Super Bowl or a championship team. And Kenneth Walker was huge, MVP of the Super Bowl. I thought he did a great job of understanding that early on in the game, he wasn't really finding the holes between the tackles. So his ability to be able to bounce to the outside and to be able to pick up those extra yards. And then when, you're running the football that frequently and you're on the field more, then you start wearing that defense down and then you start gaining more yards between the tackles. And you look at Kenneth Walker, and I know a lot of people, he screwed a lot of people over because he didn't do so great in fantasy until kind of the end of the year, but he's probably going to get paid now, buddy. I mean, he had an incredible playoff performance, and Kubiak did such a great job of making sure that Sam Darnold was able to get the ball out of his hands. Jackson Smith and Jigba was really not a factor in this game. Cooper Kupp was, the tight end Barner was. It was a really solid all-around performance for Seattle. I want to answer this real quick. Does this show have a podcast? If I missed the live broadcast, yes, we do. We podcast this show every single day. You can always go back on YouTube to watch it. And also, the audio versions are available. The video version is available on Spotify as well. But if you ever miss the podcast, yes, you can go back and watch it on YouTube, but you can also listen to the audio only on Apple, on Spotify, and ironically enough, on iHeart. So that is the way it goes. But I just thoroughly impressed with Seattle and Sam Darnold. It just shows you that everybody's journey is not just a continuous step forward and a walk without trials and tribulations and obstacles. He was getting mocked. He was a joke. I'm seeing ghosts. Remember that? I remember that like it was yesterday. and he goes, he's a backup. In San Francisco, he learns under Brock Purdy and Kyle Shanahan. He goes, he has an incredible year in Minnesota. And then some people thought Seattle was crazy, giving him that money. And Minnesota was doing the smart thing. J.J. McCarthy, national championship winning quarterback. Very athletic guy. Maybe can do some things in the offense that Sam Darnold was not able to do, even though he won all those games and bowed out in the first round. But you look at what Sam Darnold was able to do. And again, I give a lot of credit to the offensive line and a lot of credit to what Kenneth Walker Jr. did. But there was a lot of plays that Sam Darnold made last night where he was just showed an incredible amount of pocket awareness, just to be able to slide a little bit to the left, slide a little bit to the right, keep his eyes downfield, make a couple of plays, made a big play for a first down with his legs. That's a true story of perseverance and not giving up and believing in yourself. And it wasn't the most, storyline driven, and wasn't the most exciting Super Bowl, but to me, it was one of the more kind of gratifying Super Bowls because that, Seattle just did a little bit of everything. And, I look at New England, they did a lot of good things this year. I thought that the schedule was something that people brought up a lot. And did I think it was fair? I don't know if fair really has anything to do with it. You have to be able to beat the teams in front of you. What do they say if you're a good team and then you lose to bad teams? Well, you're not good enough, right? You got to be able to beat everybody. So did they have a little bit of a favorable schedule based on how it worked out and the coaches? I guess, but you still got to win those games. You still have to win those games. And at the end of the day, is your season a failure because you didn't win the last one? I mean, you were one of the last two teams standing. So I don't think this is a terrible thing for New England at all. But with that being said, going forward, it's going to be tougher. You're not going to sneak up on anybody. You're going to be playing a first-place schedule next year. And what really worries me about this team is their offensive line. And they invested that high draft pick into Will Campbell, and that was arguably one of the worst performances that we've seen from an offensive lineman in a Super Bowl. Listen, you want to talk about his arms are too short or arms are too long, he's only a first-year player, that's fine. But what we have seen in sports history that a guy just completely poops on himself on the big stage, and he's never the same. And listen, there's no guarantee that Drake May and the Patriots are going to come back. Let's not forget, Joe Burrow was in the Super Bowl early on in his career, and I don't even think they've made it back to the AFC Championship game, if I'm not mistaken. They may have, but obviously they've lost. They've never been back to the big game. So there's no guarantee that Drake May and the Patriots will be back next year, because you got to think, all right, well, now teams like the Broncos are a year older, teams like the Chargers are a year older, and I'm talking about with their future Hall of Fame head coaches. Mahomes is going to be back. Jackson's going to be back. Josh Allen's going to be back. So it's going to be an uphill climb for the New England Patriots. I thought Drake May looked rattled. He did not look comfortable at all. He really made one or two good throws in that entire game. Is it all to blame on him? No, it's a team game. But you could tell their shortcomings in their offense, and it starts with their offensive line. And on the left side, I would be very concerned. And the problem is that you get into a situation where you'll look at your team and go, yeah, we went all the way to the Super Bowl. You have to make tough decisions sometimes. The longer they hold on to this notion that Will Campbell is going to be the answer at left tackle, that they could either prove that that's the right move and have continued success, or that can doom them and they'll get behind the eight ball very quickly. So they have to understand where they're at with Will Campbell and how he fits into the entire game plan for the New England Patriots. Because if they make the wrong decision there, that'll heavily dictate the future of this franchise when it comes to the length of their postseason runs. What they did this year guarantees them nothing next year. Absolutely nothing. And I'm sure that's something that Mike Vrabel knows all too well. And this is the advantage of having a guy like him at the helm, because he knows rent is due every single year. It does not matter. Shout out to our guy, Adam Cartwright. What's up, Jay? College baseball returns this week. And it's funny, somebody just asked me if Coach Mitch Hannes is going to join us this week. Probably not this week because I'm off for a couple of days, but he will be on at some point. Love that guy. Chan, how did the Bucks beat this team last year? I know any given Sunday, but it hurts to know that Seattle destroyed the Patriots. I know, buddy. I know. But also, let's keep it 100. That's a different Seattle team. Like, they were still kind of working out the kinks a little bit. They didn't run the football, I didn't think, as well against the Bucks that they did down the stretch. It takes some time. Listen, Mike McDonald's still learning too. He's still a young coach in this league. So it is ironic that in a game where we're so focused on hiring the next stud offensively as your head coach / offensive coordinator / play caller, that it was two defensive minded head coaches that were there in the Super Bowl. Let's be cognizant of that. We focus so much on it's got to be an offensive guy. To me, the guy's got to be a good leader. The guy's got to be able to build the staff and build a roster that accentuates the strengths that he does well, which is whether it's calling plays or just being kind of that guy that's a walk-around coach, whatever. Just find the right dude. And regardless of who won the game last night, I think Seattle and New England can both look at themselves and go, we got the right guy at the helm. And, I know it's going to be tough for New England. It'll be tough for Seattle as well. Football is a copycat league. Defense is back. I still think it's always going to be an offensive league, but you're going to have these, exceptions to the rule. Our Carolina correspondent, I don't know if you guys heard, but over the weekend, we gave our guy Steve Garner a raise from $0 to $0, but we gave him a promotion, non-financially compensated promotion from not just our North Carolina correspondent, but he's our entire Carolina correspondent. So he represents the North and the South Carolinians out there. On to Olympic hockey. You got that right, buddy. The women already, and we'll talk some more Olympics in a bit. U.S. women with a win. Canada women with a win over Switzerland. That game was nuts. At one point, the shots were 40-4. Women's hockey, sometimes you're going to see 11-0 games. It's that nuts. But the fellas starting a couple of days cannot wait. Richie P in the house. What up, Jay? Go USF yesterday. And again, Steve, K9 being able to find holes all game was the real difference. You got that right. Brother Jude missed all of last week. Just been out of my town, out at my desk. Finally back to my desk today. Good, man. Glad you are back. All right, good. Adam Cartwright, they're interviewing him tonight. Adam, let us know where everybody can find it, and I'll click on it to make sure everybody talks to him. Adam, that's really, really good to hear. Okay, I just mentioned Brooks Koepka going to be at the Valspar. I'll be at the Valspar too. Fantastic. All right, so I am looking at all right. My top 3 commercials from the Super Bowl. All right, here we go. Let's get into it. And of course, I want to hear from you. What were your top 3 favorite commercials? What were your favorite commercials for the Super Bowl? All right, so let's get into the Super Bowl commercials. Here were my top 3. First up, the prostate cancer awareness spot with Bruce Arians, Tony Gonzalez, and Gronk. Relax your tight ends. Perfect. To me, the Super Bowl commercials that are the best don't always have to be the ones where you're cracking up and laughing nonstop. They got to be like witty, catchy, memorable. This one did it for me. It was subtle. It served a really, really good purpose. And of course, there's ties to Tampa with Bruce and Gronk. So really, really well done. Next, Just a Guy, Bosch Power Tools. Seeing Guy Fieri without the bling and the classic spiky blonde hair and facial hair, I mean, wow. That threw me off, but I thought it was hilarious. Guy is woven so deep into the culture here, the Americana, with his 9,453 shows on the Food Network, which I love. I'm big on Tournament of Champions right now. And to see him like that, again, wow, loved it. An honorable mention to Instacart. Watching Ben Stiller bust his ass had everyone howling at our Super Bowl get-together. One-of-a-kind type of dude. Love that commercial. We all were going crazy. But number one for me, and I'm a sucker for nostalgia and old-school throwbacks, it was Pepsi stealing the polar bear from Coca-Cola and then finishing the commercial with the polar bear couple getting caught on camera just like that couple at the Coldplay concert. Chef's kiss. Unbelievable. It had that history to it. It made you think back to commercials in the past. That was fantastic. Those are my top 3. What about you? What was your favorite? let me know. Leave your questions, comments, concerns there at the bottom. Bum, 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 bum. I love that Gronk wore Bucks. You're right, Janet. He did not do it, Patriots. That's great. That is great. Sergio Beltris is in the house. Gentlemen, defense still wins Super Bowls. It's amazing when a great front seven does for you, just like last year with Philly. Not wrong. Anheuser-Busch got me teary. That was a good one. Bruin at McEwen podcast available everywhere you get your podcast. AAC preview is already up. Thanks for the shout out, guys. Bruin at McEwen. They're always doing a fantastic job covering USF baseball. Go check that out. Really, really good stuff. So check them wherever you can get your podcast. Bruin at McEwen, Adam, and the fellas. I like the Backstreet Boys commercial. Very nostalgic for my sister and I. That T-Mobile thing, they spent a lot of money to get them. Janet, can't wait till TLC 7. Don't tell me, Janet. I'm on the final episode of TLC 6. Don't spoil it for me, Janet. Please don't. Too many AI slop commercials this year. Listen, I tell you what. I am with you 100%. There seemed to be a lot of commercials where they went back to how people looked in the 90s, where it was like Jurassic Park. I think there was another one too, and it was just really weird. It just, those kind of things kind of freak me out a little bit. Budweiser, Backstreet Boys, and Ben Stiller. Marissa loves her bees. Budweiser, Backstreet, and Ben Stiller. Smart and good looking. Marissa, she's got it all. 3 yards away from winning your parlay. Oh my God. So freaking close. All right. Before our guy Ian Beckles joins us on the program, let's talk about one of the biggest stories coming out of last night. And listen, when you're watching the Super Bowl, this was a good one too. John Momola, Dunkin' Donuts. It did try hard. There was a couple of really try hard. So there was 2 try hard commercials last night. Okay. The first try hard commercial was the State Farm one with, we're always going to call, I know he's McBride, but we're always going to call him Kenny Powers and Keegan-Michael Key. That one, Living on a Prayer with State Farm with Bon Jovi. I thought that was a little bit of a trying too hard type of thing. The name recognition was great. It was just too much. And then the Duncan one was another one. Names everywhere. George Costanza, Urkel, Carlton Banks. You got Ben Stiller playing there, Jennifer Aniston, Tom Brady. It was just a lot. It was a lot. They tried to stick 10 pounds of poop in a 5-pound bag. I thought the idea was okay, but it was more of the names and actually the commercial. But I don't mind those. I think there's a place for that. And again, it's memorable, right? I just, I don't hate it. I don't hate that at all. All right, let's talk about the Bad Bunny thing. First off, I had somebody say to me yesterday that they asked me if I was looking forward to the Kid Rock halftime show. And I was like, what is that supposed to mean? And it was like, oh, that's your people. He supports the same things you support. And I just want to tell everybody out there that is a complete crock of shit. And that ignorance comes in many, many forms. And this person said it as a joke, but said it amongst a group of people. And I thought it was probably one of the more classless things that I've ever experienced in my life. Me as a red-blooded white male in this country will never fully understand the historic racism that is permeated through this country. But I am not a person that believes that racism is confined to just one set of people talking about another set of people. If you want to call that prejudice instead of racism, that's fine. But it's still not funny. I think that's not cool. Just to judge somebody based clearly on the color of their skin, not fun, not cool. And I said my piece as well. So you know me, I wasn't going to bite my tongue over some shit like that. But again, I mean, when you look at this entire situation with the whole Turning Point halftime show and the Bad Bunny halftime show, it really is sad that we have gotten to the point in this country where we're just so incredibly divisive over these things. And I put this out on Twitter last night where I could have told you before and after the halftime show, or before the halftime show, who was going to love it and who was going to hate it. Unfortunately, we have so many sheep in this country that can't think for themselves. That it's just, you look at a certain thing like this and you're just going to hate it, or you're going to love it based on what somebody above tells you. If you're for the large point of people hated the Bad Bunny stuff and they thought it was going to be divisive. They thought he was going to wear a dress. They thought he was going to come out saying F Trump. None of that happened. And then, the other side where it's just like, well, it's America and we're going to go over here and Kid Rock and all these different things and talking about bringing the Bible out. And listen, I think it's ironic and nobody ever really wants to say this, but there were a lot of talks of inclusion, I think, on both sides of the aisle last night when it came to those type of things. It's just a weird spot to be in this country. It really is. It sucks, man. And I really wish there was something that we can bring people together more. People want to talk about what Bad Bunny was doing and he was grabbing his junk and, you want to break down his lyrics. I mean, you want to break down the Kid Rock lyrics too? Do we want to go back to the Michael Jackson performance when he was grabbing his crotch the entire time? Like, you can pick apart any of the shit that you don't like and say you don't like it, right? I mean, it's your prerogative, right? I'm not going to lose my mind over it. I was a person, and I do like Bad Bunny. Do I know what he's saying half the time? No. But I thought the pageantry and the choreography was top notch. Probably one of the best as far as that aspect of the Super Bowl. I do think you lose a little bit when you don't have any songs in English other than what Lady Gaga did, which was good. There was a lot of Easter eggs in there. But I look at the entire situation with Bad Bunny, and it was the celebration of the Latin American and the Hispanic culture in this country. And he did not use that platform to denigrate anything for Donald Trump, talk more about love than hate. So I think for people that were anticipating it to be such a terrible thing and that he was going to come out and just start bashing this country and bashing Donald Trump, we didn't see that. So for me, like, I enjoyed it. I don't think it was one of the best ones, but I thought I liked this. It was the special on Amazon. I like that better than the Super Bowl halftime show. So it is what it is. I mean, when you look at things like that. But I got to be completely honest with you, and I brought this up last night. Will there ever be a halftime show that compares to Prince? It may not be your favorite halftime show, but it's hard to say it wasn't the best. Playing Purple Rain in the rain. Is there ever going to be another halftime show that will be so like across the board valued as number one, as the best? I don't think so. And that's on purpose from here on out. And I hope people don't get it twisted and you think that there is going to be an option. I wish there was. And I posed this question last night on social media. I wish there was a guy or a gal or a group or somebody that people from all walks of life are going to enjoy. But I don't think that's going to happen. And I think that's very strategic. You're going to put somebody in there regardless of what type of music it is, and it's just going to stir up the controversy. It's going to piss somebody else off. I mean, we live in a world where everybody gets offended about something. So whoever the decision is next year, one side of the aisle is going to be pissed and the other side of the aisle is going to love it. Before, during, and after. It's not going to stop with Kendrick. It's not going to stop with Bad Bunny. And again, I like Bad Bunny. I liked it. I thought it was a good performance. I thought there was a lot of great Easter eggs in there. It wasn't my favorite, but I thought it was really good. I enjoyed it. But the decisions going forward are going to continue to be like this because that's what gets people talking before, during, and after. Remember how much we talked about the performance last year. Kendrick Lamar at the halftime show between Philadelphia and Kansas City. How long after that Super Bowl halftime show we were still talking about Kendrick Lamar? That's a win. That's a win, whether you like it or not. Same thing is going to happen with Bad Bunny. You're going to hear about this halftime show for the next couple of days, next couple of weeks. And until they announce the next one, people are still going to look back at Bad Bunny, at Kendrick Lamar, and next year and the future is going to be no different. Controversy creates cash. Never forget it. I love Tom Petty, but I'm old. I did too. And the reason why I love Tom Petty so much is because it was during the halftime show of the undefeated Patriots getting beaten by the New York Football Giants. So that's why he was my favorite. Let's bring him in. The one and only Ian Beckles. What's up, buddy? We appreciate you taking time out of your day from doing the bachata and dancing to Bad Bunny music and joining us on the program. Flip your phone sideways for me if you can. We want to see your beautiful.
Anytime, brother. Like this?
Yeah, that works. There you go, bud.
That's gonna be tough. Anyways, we'll figure it out.
Good?
No problem, bro. Long time no see.
I know. Would you love the halftime show last night? I saw you shaking it back there, buddy.
I mean, I shook it a little bit. As far as loving it, I'd probably rate it about the same as I would rate Kendrick Lamar.
Right.
I didn't know much of the music, and I mean, it was funky. It was production.
Yeah.
But it would have been the same to me if Taylor Swift played. I don't know the music.
Yeah.
It looked like a good production, and like Kendrick Lamar, there was a lot of symbolism that I'm hearing later on now, and makes a lot of sense. But other than that, I don't give a shit, Jay. and what you were saying before, if you really think about it, if you really, really, really think about it, nobody's more global than Bad Bunny.
He's not. He's the number one artist in the world.
I mean, we just want English. That's all. If we talk global, nobody is close to being as global as Bad Bunny. So there you go.
You're right, and I think it's going to be ironic one day because he's been so big WWE fan. He's wrestled at WrestleMania. One day he's going to go into the WWE Hall of Fame. And the way I piss off all my friends that hate MAGA is I tell them that I love Donald Trump for one reason, and it's because he's a WWE Hall of Famer. So it is ironic that one day Donald Trump and Bad Bunny will both be in the WWE Hall of Fame. I could say that that's probably the only Hall of Fame that they'll ever share in their entire life.
Yeah, I can't see those two hugged up anytime soon.
Not at all, man. All right, what's your overall take on the game, man? I mean, I tell you what, I look back and I watch some of the highlights. Will Campbell it goes down to the trenches again for me, Beck, and Will Campbell had a rough night. That left side of the offensive line, you can say whatever you want about Drake May, but we've always talked about that offensive line. I thought that was a huge difference in the contest.
Always is.
Yeah.
You look in that game, everybody wants to make it about May and Darnold, or they want to make it about Brady and whoever, but that's not what it comes down to. It comes down to the quarterbacks being comfortable, and one quarterback was very uncomfortable. Drake May looked like, a Chamberlain high school quarterback. And listen, I said this before the game, so I'm not going to try to get credit after the game. Before the game, I was like, I just think Seattle's a better football team. And I just don't think New England played the same caliber of opponent. Offensively, New England didn't look good in the playoffs. They just ran into some shitty teams, to be honest with you. Denver, without your starting quarterback, you almost lost. Yeah. So Seattle's a more complete football team, and they put it on them offensively. They put it on them in the trenches yesterday. It was fun to watch.
Yeah, and a guy like Sam Darnold, I mean, it's such a great story, and we speak about that a lot. It's really about your environment, right? I mean, you talk about his fourth, fifth stop now, and getting drafted by the Jets, and that whole thing not working out. He goes and he poops on himself, and then he goes to San Francisco. He learns, and he goes to Minnesota. Kevin O'Connell does a great job there, and now he's with Kubiak, who's going to take the job with the Raiders. But it really does come down to your environment, doesn't it, Beck? Especially at the quarterback position.
Well, it's your environment. It's a situational thing. Your teammates, your offensive coordinator. It's a timing thing. There's a lot of different things in being successful. I hate that all these coordinators are taking credit for quarterbacks coming into their own. And that is happening. No doubt about that. All the quarterbacks are getting about their fourth, fifth, sixth year. They're like, oh my God, look how great that coordinator is. He made Baker Mayfield. He made Sam Darnold. No, the fuck they didn't. Sam Darnold and Baker Mayfield made them goddamn self by being in the league by that long and learning that much from so many different people and making the same mistake over and over. Those coordinators are not making those quarterbacks. Sam Darnold doesn't need anybody anymore. Okay, let's get that straight. Sam Darnold's been in enough systems and had enough success so we can stop saying that anybody's, the reason why Sam Darnold is succeeding, because Sam Darnold, as from this point on, is a good quarterback. What he did in the past is forget about it, null and void. He is a good quarterback, period.
So I want to go back to the offensive line for the Patriots. Will Campbell was the guy that they questioned coming out of college because his arms were too short. And he really struggled, not just in the Super Bowl, but all postseason long. And I said to start the show today, that decision that they make, whether they kick him inside or what, I think is going to tell whether they have long-term success, because the jury's out on that kid now. The videotape is out, and he struggled big time. And I know he's rookie, but what are you going to look for when you see that kid next year? And at what point do you go, we might have to kick him inside? I know it's rough to say that, but I mean, I think he gave up the most pressures in the history of the Super Bowl yesterday. And as good as the Seattle defense is, don't get me wrong, they were really good. It's not like they had Myles Garrett and TJ Watt and all these other guys, right? You know what I mean? Like, he got beat by a drum by everybody. It wasn't just one guy housing him. So when you look at a guy like Will Campbell, where's your thought process on what you want to see from him next year? Because it was pretty resounding. And when you got that spotlight shown on you on a big play like this, sometimes guys, I don't want to say don't come back from that, but I worry about the kid. I do.
Well, pooping on yourself in that, setting ain't easy. I've never done it.
4 weeks in a row, 3 weeks in a row.
Yeah. Well, here's how it goes. In order for me to tell you where he is as a football player, I'd have to go back and watch his film. I just can't. I just don't want to sit here and tell you where he is or how he played as a rookie, because I didn't really watch him. If you have your short arms and stuff like that, there's people that can get over that. But there'll be times where you find yourself in some funny matchups. Okay. A lot of times a guy will go through the season, not the whole season, but they go 13-4. Sometimes despite him not playing well. You see what I'm saying? Like, so when you're winning, nobody emphasizes this guy who's struggling over here. Well, because you're 13-4. You're running the ball. Everything is easy. Life is good. You're running the ball. He can run block. But then you could find yourself in the playoffs against a son of a bitch of a defense and a son of a bitch of a defensive end, and you got to throw the ball to win, and then all of a sudden his short arms come into play. Whether he should go inside or not, that once again, that's just a whole season worth of film. If you can make it through the season at tackle, I think you can go inside a guard. But then again, a tackle is a more valuable position. So like Cody Mauch in his rookie year, you have to evaluate him as a rookie. Okay, you don't say he had a good year as a lineman. How did he play as a rookie? Because his second year he's going to probably improve 40%. You got to think he's going to do the same.
Yeah, and I'll be keeping a keen eye on that for sure, because I think that has a lot to do with the success of not just the Patriots, but also Drake May as well. I wanted to ask you about something that kind of crossed my path, and this was from a couple of days ago, and it was talking about the Hall of Fame voting. Hall of Fame wide receiver Randy Moss said that if you didn't play it and if you didn't coach it, you shouldn't have a vote. What do you think about these guys that are out there that are writers that have these votes out there? And do you think that voting for the Hall of Fame should just be for the players and the coaches that have, plied their trade in the National Football League?
Well, I'd say this. This is how we've been voting, so let's not change it. Okay, that's what I would say. If we started anew and you said what's the best way to get the best people in the Hall of Fame, I would say let the players vote. That's what I would say, because that would omit, situations like just happened, or maybe somebody wasn't the best to the press, and that's the reason why they don't get a vote. But that being said, you don't think that's going to be going to happen with players? It's going to happen with players too. Like there's biases and there's hatred, and that's part of life. So I think if you're looking for the right person, undoubtedly, I would just let the players do it. But if this is the way it started, I would stay with it. I don't have a problem with it.
I guess my thing about this entire thing, and I totally agree with you when it comes to the bias, because I've been at that table talking to a couple of guys that vote for the Hall of Fame, big time members of the Pro Football Writers Association, and I asked them about Terrell Owens, and I go, How in the blue hell was that guy not a first ballot Hall of Famer? The numbers there, the metrics are there. The guy played fantastic in the Super Bowl on a broken freaking leg. He had the record for most receptions in one game with the 49ers. And it all came down to how he treated the teams, the coaches, his fellow players, and the media. And I'm like, what the hell does that have anything to do with it? Really? Like, I just didn't understand how a guy that's not even like he's one of the best wide receivers I've ever watched do it. But because of who he was as a human being, and mind you, he didn't kill anybody. Right? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's the thing. And they still wouldn't let him in there. So I'm with you on that. The other side of the coin is because you and I have talked about the NFL top 100. And you've said that one thing that you don't like about it is with the players, like how often does a wide receiver watch offensive line play?
Correct.
So I think that's the other part of it, where if you look at a guy that's a very knowledgeable writer that has gone around and covered the sport for 20, 30 years, he can kind of give you an idea of how a guy like Tristan Wirfs matches up and compares to a guy like Orlando Pace or a guy like Jonathan Ogden, right? Where players, I mean, you look at it, man, when these guys come into the league, they don't necessarily know the history as much as maybe somebody like yourself did when you came into the 90s. It's just a different game altogether. So I think it's a double-edged sword where, you know, there's a lot of writers and they're paid to learn about everything, and they're not just locked in on their position and their side of the football. And I think that's where you could kind of get lost a little bit if it's just the players and not the writers.
Yeah, I just think that when you're evaluating athletes, some athletes are overrated and some athletes are underrated. But that's done by the press. It's not done by players. It's done by the press. So I think you would be eliminating the overrated and underrated players if you eliminate the press. Because if you ask me if so-and-so was good that I play against, that's not going to be an overrated or underrated thing. It's going to be a real evaluation. So, you know, once again, in the press, sometimes the press thinks that they're part of the locker room, and you've seen it, Jay. Some guys think, I'm part of the locker room. Bullshit, okay? You're not part of the locker room. You may be cool with some players, but you're not part of the locker room, all right? So there's some press members that think that guy's a great leader, and then you talk to people in the locker room. You know this, Jay. You've been around players enough to know that what the press says ain't it, okay? A lot of times it just ain't it. And a lot of times there's salad tossing, a dick sucking motherfuckers in the press that will tell you whatever they want to tell you because that's their buddy. Okay, right. That's happened forever. And a lot of the real cats that'll look a guy in the press and go fuck yourself. Sorry for my language today. I'm in the mood. A guy in the press that will say that will not get a vote. Right. They won't get the vote. So to me, Bill Belichick getting into the NFL Hall of Fame. Is he one of the best coaches ever? Period. If you say no, you're wrong. Okay, so no, but you're wrong. But you're allowed to vote that way. But you're wrong. Okay, so that doesn't make any sense to me because Bill Belichick is supposed to get in right off a rip. I mean, because his resume says he's supposed to get in. So whoever didn't vote for him, it was just hate, and that's it. Now, once again, you're America. You're allowed to be hateful. But that was hate.
Well, I think the thing too is like what a lot of people don't know about that voting process is it's different than the other process of the players getting in or not. So this process, there's, you know, you lump the coaches and the veterans and the owners together. So that's not really, I mean, they have to change the process too, because I saw somebody vote and said that, yeah, he's certainly a Hall of Famer, but I wanted some of these old timers to get in because they've been waiting a while, right? So like if that doesn't help either, if the process is flawed, right? So, I mean, that's, you know, I'm with you though. I mean, to think that a guy like Bill Belichick isn't a first ballot Hall of Famer, I mean, that's kind of crazy. I mean, he's arguably the greatest coach in the history of the freaking sport, which is absolutely nuts to me. But it is what it is. It definitely has to change. But
Jay, there's it's like talking about the medical system in the United States, okay? There's no unflawed medical systems. There's no systems that are unflawed, okay? Not when you're talking about voting for things. There's going to be a flaw in it, regardless. And we just, you know, as American, it's just like, once again, we're talking about this Bad Bunny halftime thing, and people are upset that it didn't It didn't suit them. I think
Yeah.
that's funny. I think
Yeah.
that's funny. Okay, I've watched. I'm 58 years old. I probably watched 55 halftime shows. How many of them suited me? Five,
Mhm.
10? Who
Yeah.
gives a shit if it
Right.
doesn't suit you? Oh, it didn't suit me. I don't want it. I hate that. I don't. I
Yeah.
hate it.
Man, it's tough though. How are we going to get an all-encompassing show? Like, I just
It's
don't think that
impossible.
it's
Impossible.
impossible, bro. I tweeted out last night, what's the only way to get a better show than Prince? And somebody said the only way to get a better show than Prince is if Prince rose from the dead and did the show again.
Well, I said if
That's great.
if Taylor Swift handed the microphone to Bad Bunny, who handed the microphone to Robert Plant, who handed the micro, something like that.
Yeah, it's got to be a big,
It's
like an
got to be
all-star.
out
Yeah.
of this world. But Prince,
Mhm.
bro, come on now. Hey, if you're a music fan, you say you don't like Prince, well, then we won't talk no more.
That's a
No more.
weird, yeah, that's a weird thing to say, right?
No
Like,
more.
unbelievable. And now we're looking forward to the draft, and it's kind of weird. It's like a lull in the NFL season here, and the Buccaneers still pedaling right along, bringing in their Zach Robinson. They're bringing in elevating some of the defensive coaches. I mean, this is as big of an offseason for the Buccaneers that we're going to see. And Mike Evans, we've been talking about it a lot the last couple of weeks, and people wondering if he's going to return or not. And then we see the news today, Max Crosby. Apparently, an unnamed general manager said Max Crosby told Tom Brady that he doesn't want to play for the Raiders anymore. So I know that could be hearsay, but if you're Jason Light, do you think, and not saying would you, but do you think he does make a splash at defensive end and goes outside of what he's usually done? Because he doesn't seem like he's that guy.
I mean, you can say that until you have the opportunity to go get a Max Crosby.
Right.
He wasn't the guy to go out and go snag a quarterback until Tom Brady. And listen, let me say something about Jason Light, and I'm a Jason Light fan, no doubt. He got too much credit for Tom Brady. Tom Brady wanted to come here. Let's get
Yeah.
that straight, okay?
Mhm.
And listen, I watched the Raise the Flags, and they're like, Jason Light got Tom. Wherever Max Crosby wants to go, he'll go. Okay,
Right.
that's just the way. That's the way the NFL has turned into. Okay, the player is in control. Okay, because Max Crosby, you go, Tom. I don't want to be here. Get me out of here. Let's figure it out. I don't want to go here, here, and here. I want to go here or here. Let's figure it out. You call those teams. He'll call Jason Light and go, Jason, you interested? Jason will, hell yeah, and then we'll figure it out. So if you get Max Crosby here, that's not Jason Light. That's Max Crosby and the system
Mhm.
getting him here. And if there's any way possible to get Max Crosby here, I'll give away our whole defense. Everybody we had last year, you can have them, all of them, and I'll take Max Crosby and we'll start from scratch.
Yeah, no doubt about it. We're in the middle of the Winter Olympics now. Were you a big Winter Olympics guy growing up in Canada? Was it big there?
Huge, of course. I mean,
Yeah.
come on, man. I mean, it's bigger there than it is here. Winter
Yeah.
Olympics are. And the Olympics, I just like the Olympics in general. I just like competition.
Mhm.
But I just, I find myself in the Olympics watching sports. I don't even know what the sport is.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
to watch these guys flip 1,800 times and land on a freaking blade on the snow, I think is amazing. I mean, these guys, I forget NFL athletes. Those guys are athletes to me. I don't get what that is about.
Yeah, it's insane. And these sports where it's just you, right? The pressure for the Olympics is on another level. You can't have a bad day. You have a bad day, you're out. That's it. It's not like, oh, well, you didn't do great. And you know what I mean? Like football or baseball or basketball or hockey, or like, yeah, if you're a guy, maybe you didn't have your best day, you didn't catch a bunch of passes. Like you can't have a Jackson Smith and Jigba type of day. We're like, oh, you're not 100%. You might have got concussed, right? Like you just can't do that. If you're a guy or a gal that's doing skiing or skating and it's just you, it's either you rise to the occasion, Beck, or you're out. And that's 4 years. Again, you have to wait. And you got to hope that somebody else doesn't come in and take your spot.
Yeah, I don't even know how that works to be working for 4 years,
bro,
to do something. Okay, the other day I was watching the jumping.
Yeah, ski jumping.
Ski jumping with the one board, whatever they call it, snowboarding or whatever, right?
Snowboarding, yeah.
Yeah, so they go down the thing and then shoot, and they go and they fly for 4 seconds. 4 seconds. You train for 4 years to fuck up 4 seconds
Oh my
Because you got
God.
to figure in 4 years, whatever you've been trying to do, you've landed a million times. And to
Mhm.
go there and not land it must be terrible. I can like if you're a football player, you work out all off season to come play a game, and you play a bad game, you will have another one the next Sunday. And then
Right.
if you play well, people will forget about it. But boy, that's a lot of pressure, man. If you guys don't think those athletes have pressure, you're crazy.
Lindsey Vaughn, 41 years old. She was skiing on a torn ACL, and then her first run, she breaks her leg and gets airlifted off the mountain, hanging outside of a helicopter with a guy attached to the gurney. Like that was one of the craziest things I've ever seen in my life. And to see hundreds of thousands of people, you just at a gasp. I mean, 41 years young to be able to go out there. I mean, it's pretty crazy. Hockey starts this week. Canada, USA, baby.
Yep.
Who you pulling? Who you pulling for?
I've said this a million times, Jay. This is the only time I pull for Canada. Is the
Oh my
Olympics.
gosh.
The Olympics, any Olympics in general. I'm Canadian born,
Canadian
so
born.
I grew up cheering for Canada always, and I'm still gonna cheer for Canada. I cheer for the United States as well, but if Canada goes against the United States, I'm going Canada. And you know what? If anybody doesn't like it, suck a dick.
Do you have any Canada gear?
I have a Team Canada shirt I got from. Oh God, what was the name of the Cami Donato? Cami Donato? Is that
Cami
her name?
Granato.
Cami
Cami Granato.
Granado. Yeah, she gave
Yeah.
me one back in the day. So yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I didn't know. I saw her brother, or was it brother? Yeah, her brother Tony. Tony Granato played in
Yeah.
the
I was
NHL
about
for a
to
long
say
time.
one of the biggest families in hockey. That's a hockey
Yeah.
family now.
Yeah, Tony, and it was good too because Tony was like Phil Esposito really loved seeing Tony Granato, so it
Yeah.
was really really good stuff. What's going on this week over there at the Dignitary Cafe?
We're just doing our thing, man. Hanging out here. Just it was a nice little crowd for the Super Bowl people, and what a
Yeah,
weird Super Bowl. Because you know what's funny, and I didn't really think about it, but nobody was cheering for anybody.
it was very
Were they?
predictable. You know,
No,
it was
but
just
no, but like, well, for
we
the
had
Super,
one guy there. We had one
but
guy there that was a Patriots fan. That was it.
yeah, okay, but
That was
everybody
it.
was cheering for their bets.
Yeah.
Nobody like nobody in America really cared who won the game other than their freaking bets. That was weird.
I mean, but that's also what happens when you're watching the game with Josh and Aaron Jacobson too. I mean, they're
That
talking
is
about
true.
over unders and drives, and
That is
I,
true.
I
Yeah,
feel
you
like
learn a lot about gambling with those guys around.
yeah, you got that right. But we did not see there was not a bird appearance though, which
No
is kind
bird
of a
sighting.
bummer.
I don't know. I don't know what's going on.
Hope
Bird's
he's
changing.
okay.
Yeah, he's
Crusty
all
ass,
right.
dusty ass Bert.
He'll
Make
be
sure you
all
go
right. He'll
buy me
be
a
all right.
piece. I think it'll be all right. 4817 South West Shore Boulevard. Go check the Dignitary Cafe. Ian Beckles Show on Instagram and YouTube. Go check them out, and we'll go from there. We're gonna do a show Wednesday. You still moving stuff around?
Let's rock.
All right, Beckles and Recher on a Wednesday, probably 2:30, 3 o'clock. So check us out there live from the cafe. All right, my brother. Appreciate y'all. See you on Wednesday.
One love.
The treasurer of the Bad Bunny fan club, Ian Beckles. Did you see that? Love it. Gotta love the guy, Ian H. Beckles, the great 20th century philosopher, the treasurer of the Bad Bunny fan club. I don't even know if you saw that or not. That was pretty funny. All right. Again, make sure you follow me on all social media platforms: Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, TikTok, Instagram. Like and subscribe on YouTube. I wanted to get to this real quick too. Richie and all the guys. Chan saying, I'm sorry, not everything is controversial. The controversy about Bad Bunny was just rank bigotry. Let's keep that. It's not about what I think it's controversial. To other people, it was. That's your opinion. But to other people out there that thought that they were placating to one side of the argument and that they were having a guy that didn't say anything in English. I mean, there's people that are going to dislike that. You may not agree with it, but and regardless of how you feel about how they feel, it's just natural. That's just going to happen. You have people in this country that, especially people that are in the South, very old school in their ways. You think they're going to love a guy on the screen that doesn't say anything in English? I mean, I don't know. I'm not surprised by that type of thing. I enjoyed it. I like Bad Bunny. Again, he's going to be a WWE Hall of Famer. And I think that's going to be hysterical. Bad Bunny and Donald Trump in the WWE Hall of Fame together. Next year, Bad Benny halftime show featuring Jay Recher and Ian Beckles. I like it. I like that as well. Let's do it. You're right, Benny. There is assholes everywhere you go, but you see it more than I see in the deep South. I think, where you see guys that are just like, "This is the way it is. This is the way it's going to be. I'm not changing." I guess it's like that everywhere, but I've seen it a lot in the South, so that's the way it goes. Ugh. He's Puerto Rican. That's American. I know. I love Puerto Rico. I was there a couple months ago. Again, I'm not excusing people's ignorance. I'm giving you reasons why people aren't going to like it. And there's a big contingent of people that went over to the Turning Point halftime show. Millions of people over there. So, I mean, you can't ignore that type of stuff. You may not like it. You may not agree with it, but it's just ignorant. You know what I mean? You don't have to change. And I don't think that everybody that looks at it and wanted to do something else, like I don't look at them as if their heart was in the right place and they said that, hey, to each their own, then that's fine. If you're one of those people that had nothing but bad things to say about it and you were negative about it, then I don't agree with you at all. I like that it was different. I like that there was a lot of energy. I like that he was bringing people together. I do like it was a message of love and not hate. And there was a lot of people just happy. There was just a lot of happiness, man. That's good. I don't think that's a bad thing at all. It may not have been your cup of tea, but I got to be honest, Black Eyed Peas wasn't my cup of tea either. Taylor Swift would not be my cup of tea, but it is what it is, man. Go out there, have a good time, do what you got to do. Whatever, man. Whatever. If it's not yours, then go do something else. Go watch something else. That's okay. That's the beautiful thing about this country. You can go. And of course, there's going to be people on both sides that are going to be not great people and their heads aren't and hearts are not going to be in the right spot. God, it is what it is, man. Live your life. Don't be one of those people then. Be a unifier. Be a person that brings people together. So just bitching and moaning about all this stuff. Like, God damn, man. It's a lot. Honest Hammer Custom Builders, LLC, my guy. Residential commercial needs, 813-244-0956. He's the best. Head on over there. TheHonestHammer.com, TheHonestHammer@gmail.com. Go check it out. And tell them that you heard it right here, man. Get a discount. You want kitchen renovations, bathroom renovations, to be able to see what he has been able to do for these plot of lands that needed a new custom home built. It is just magnificent. And I love just the way that he treats his people and the way that he converses with them and the way that he talks about how it's not the cheapest, it's not the quickest. He doesn't try to cut any corners. He does it the right way, man. I really enjoy that he's so transparent and open and honest about doing the job right. There's people out there that are just going, they just have these horror stories when it comes to these contractors. And he's not like that. He's a guy that wants to get it done right and get it done right the first time. I can really appreciate that. I love it. And again, tell them that you're here right here on the Jay Recher podcast, thehonestheimer.com, 813-244-0956. Always got the card right here. Russ White, my guy, licensed general contractor, CGC 153-1166. Nobody better than our guy, Honest Hammer. And then, of course, EverHealth, everhealth.org. 17 different locations in Pinellas County. We have our EverHealth injury report every Thursday with our guy, Dr. Carlos Rodriguez. Everything from the cradle to the grave. They do it all. I go there, work with Dr. Rodriguez. Like, it's an awesome place. It's the new age of healthcare where it's affordable for pretty much everybody. They have a sliding scale for the uninsured. They take all types of insurance. Everything is so clean and nice and everybody's so friendly. This is the way healthcare should be. I go to the High Point location. Go to the website, check it out, everhealth.org. Check out the EverHealth Institute, which is very similar to the broadcasting school that I went to put myself in a position to be doing what I do today. EverHealth, I can't say enough nice things about them. EVARA health.org. Again, tell them that you heard it right here on the Jay Recher podcast. Dr. Carlos Rodriguez on Thursday at 12:30, as he is every week right here on the Jay Recher podcast. We'll keep him here in the States because I know Greg the Cruz, our guy, wants him down there in Costa Rica. I saw Doc last Thursday. I felt so bad. I was so locked into my work, and I guess it was his wife, and she kind of like looked up at me. And again, sometimes we're like animals in a cage, and people just kind of look up and they stare at us, and like you can't just wave at people. So you just kind of just there you go. You just gotta go back to doing your thing. So I didn't really think anything of it. And then all of a sudden, like somebody else stood up and looked, and then they started waving, and I only saw it out of my peripheral vision. And then I looked over and I was like, oh my God, it's Doc. And then I waved and said hello. So it was pretty funny. Love Dr. Rodriguez, man. He is unbelievable. He is unfreaking believable. Chan, you're on one today, buddy. I don't want to ignore you. Make the Super Bowl halftime show in English, but also let's take the NFL to European countries and open franchise there. It's a stupidity I cannot abide by any longer. Chan is on one. He's on one today. He's on one. He's on one. To be fair, those games in those other countries are broadcast in English too, and a lot of those people in those countries, they are all speaking a bunch of English as well. But I hear you, man. I liked it. Like I said, I enjoyed it. It wasn't for everybody, but I think that's, we have to understand that everybody's not going to be as open-minded and thorough as other people, man. I'm not going to lose my mind over it because you can't change everybody. People are the way they are. Don't surround yourself with people like that. Just the way it goes. That is the way it goes. All right. So seemingly, the Bucks have certainly dodged a bullet when it comes to James Pierce Jr., huh? My God. And I'll be honest with you. I was advocating for the Buccaneers to draft a pass rusher where it was him, whether it was getting a linebacker like Carson Schlesinger, but this was one of the things that concerned the Buccaneers enough to take him off their draft board, and that there were some issues with James Pierce Jr., the kid out of Tennessee, who had a fantastic rookie year for the Atlanta Falcons. Now, this is from our guy Mark Ramondi from up in Atlanta, and this is a criminal complaint obtained by ESPN from the Miami-Dade County State Attorney's Office, where James Pierce Jr. was arrested Saturday in Florida on 5 felony charges, including aggravated battery with a deadly weapon, aggravated stalking, and aggravated battery of a law enforcement officer. He was released from the Turner Guilford Night Correctional Center on Sunday night after posting a $20,500 bond. He allegedly crashed his vehicle into one being driven by WNBA player Recher Jackson multiple times and struck a police officer with the vehicle while evading arrest. Jackson, who plays for the Sparks, told police that she saw Pierce following her car in a white Lamborghini SUV Saturday morning. When Jackson's car stopped at a red light, Pierce got out of his vehicle and attempted to open her car door on the driver's side. She accelerated away and started driving towards the police department there in Doral. Pierce re-entered his vehicle, continued following her. During the drive to the police station, Jackson said Pierce intentionally collided into the rear of her vehicle with his SUV. As she got to the intersection near the police station, Jackson said Pierce cut her off with his car, and when she attempted to back out and get away, he used his car to collide with hers head on. Doral police officers responded to the scene after Jackson called. According to the affidavit, they saw Pierce standing on the outside of his SUV on the driver's side with the door open. An officer pulled a gun on Pierce and ordered him to get on the floor. He got back in his car, closed the door. The officer opened the door, but Pierce shut it again, locked it, and drove away. While he was driving away, the SUV struck an officer in his left knee. The affidavit describes it as intentionally an attempt to evade arrest. Police followed his vehicle and cars until Pierce crashed at an intersection. Pierce then got out of his car and fled on foot. Officers were able to catch up with him, though Pierce began to resist arrest by tensing his arms and not allowing officers to apprehend him. Holy smokes. He's facing 2 felony counts of aggravated battery with a deadly weapon and a felony count of aggravated stalking. Other charges included fleeing and eluding police officers, and aggravated battery of a law enforcement officer, also felonies, and a misdemeanor count of resisting an officer without violence to his person. Wow. Unfreaking believable. And his lawyer, Mr. Pierce, maintains his innocence and urges the public to understand that while allegations have the power to shape a narrative, that it is hardly the full, complete story. We look forward to vigorously defending our client and remain confident that he'll continue contributing positively to both his team and the community he serves so well. Wow. Dude. What the hell? Unfreaking believable. I mean, it's one thing, buddy. If it's a domestic dispute in the house, it's you and her, and it's kind of he said, she said, back and forth. Who do you believe? Holy shit, dude. Like, I mean, there are cameras like on streetlights all over the country, and the damage done to her car is consistent with her story. You literally had this guy hit a police officer with his car. This dude is so fucked. Super duper fucked. Like, this guy. All right, Jason Light, I get it. This is why you take guys off your draft board. You traded a first-round pick to get this guy, and he may not ever suit up for the Falcons again. Oh my God. What were you thinking? I guess he wasn't thinking. Oh my God, man. The stuff that happens between men and women, like these domestic instances, are just mind-blowing. And again, I'm not blaming her, but it's just what tends to happen when men and women break up, and it causes one of them to just completely lose their mind, allegedly. What else would make James Pierce Jr. do this if it wasn't a woman, right? Again, I'm not blaming her, but it's just, this is the opposite sex be having people go freaking crazy, man. Everybody out there that's watching her now shaking their head like, yeah, you think about it, man, crazy exes. And they may think that you're the crazy one, right? Like, you just don't know, man. It's wild, buddy. It is wild. And where do the Falcons go from here? They have to. You want to gather all the information you want. I just don't see how. What do? You pleaded less? I don't know. I have no idea. God, it's awful. It's just freaking awful. Rolly's in the house. I'm sure alcohol or other substance doesn't help with overreaction. Yes, and I didn't see anything on there about that. But and I don't want to assume that. Also, Jackson told police she and Pierce dated for about 3 years, but recently ended their relationship. She blocked his number to avoid contact, but he used another number to text her. A Friday afternoon text from Jackson told Pierce to leave her alone, that she wanted nothing to do with him. The text message from Pierce continued through Friday into Saturday morning. Jackson showed the messages to police. Bro, this guy is so freaking screwed. His career and probably his life is over. Is he ever going to play in the NFL again? No, I don't see how this happens. He tried to hit this girl. Then he tried to hit a police officer. He did hit a police. He didn't try. He hit a police officer. This guy is super duper screwed. Super duper screwed. And so is the Atlanta Falcons. No first-round pick this year. You're going to have to go. Your pass rush looked like it was on its way back with him and Jalen. Wow, man. I just, be smart, man. Think before you do things. But this is another reason why. Again, I said that a guy like Jason Light going to have to think about it a little bit, right? Let's try to get some different personalities in there. It doesn't have to all be choir boys, but my God, you can't have something like this happening either. My God. You get it. I love being single. I hear you, buddy. Maybe not for long for me. Not for long. Greg the Cruz. Jameis got 3 games for the Uber thing. Probably going to get 8. Greg the Cruz. Amazing restraint from police. Hitting an officer. People been shot for less. It's not a bad point, buddy. Not a bad point at all. I'm sure that they knew who they were. I mean, at that time, they knew what they were dealing with. Lamborghini truck, I mean, they had an idea that he was something. Restraining arrest for as long as he did, getting into a chase with the officers before you crash in the intersection and then try to flee on foot. Like, dude, bad decision after bad decision after bad decision. Oh, James Pierce Jr. Oh my God. Dude, you are fat, super fat, screwed, rude. Sorry, not sorry. All right. So, am I the only one that's jacked up for the Olympics, or is it just me? I love the Olympics. And if you had to ask me what I like better, the summer or the winter, it is not close. I love the Winter Olympics even more. I do love swimming. I do love track. I do love basketball, baseball, softball when they're involved. But to me, the Winter Olympics is where it's at. And why? People ask me like why I love the Winter Olympics. And I think it all stems from my upbringing where my grandfather and his relatives and his parents and grandparents, and they were figure skaters in Switzerland. So to me, it was always, I always just loved figure skating. And the reason being, and this kind of shaped everything about me, is I remember my grandfather, who was this rough and rugged guy, military dude. But when figure skating came on, he would sit down, he'd watch the whole thing and talk about how beautiful and how magnificent it was. And I remember when I was a young kid, my grandfather turned to me and he said, never, you want to talk about where my love for sports originates and how I can just be addicted, right? What's my vice? And it is sports, and all sports. It came from this. It came from my grandfather telling me, and again, my rough and rugged military grandfather saying, never make fun of anybody for the sport that they love, because you can either win $1 million or win a gold medal. That was his thing. And it always stood out to me. So that's why at a very early age, I had such an appreciation and an affinity for different sports. And as it got older, things changed. Like I wasn't as big of a soccer fan then as I am now. It's probably the one sport that I'm like a legit fan of, because I don't cover it as much. But I look at all the different sports, and I played volleyball and tennis growing up, and I played baseball and hockey and basketball growing up. But it's amazing the impact that words that my grandfather had for me at such an early age really carried me throughout my entire life. And it kind of became who I am today. And it's ironic. I was home a couple of years ago looking through some of the things that my grandfather, because he lived in Connecticut and he used to mail me articles, and he would always tell me different things and always try to grow my knowledge for sports, different nicknames and all these different things. And I found this piece of paper about 2 or 3 years ago. And at the time it was like 90. So I was 9 years old, and I look at it, and my grandfather wrote like a little message on the bottom. And he said, you being such a big sports fan, it wouldn't surprise me if you were a sports broadcaster one day. That was 31 years ago. My grandfather's been gone for the better part of a decade now. And it's just wild, man, how things like that live with you. And I don't really remember reading that. Like, I didn't read that, and that inspired me to be a broadcaster. I didn't think about broadcasting until I was in my mid to late teens, because ESPN was so big, and I just knew that I didn't want to play ball or hockey at the next level. I wanted to be on ESPN because I love all the sports. But it is kind of crazy that my grandfather, who played such a huge part in shaping my fandom as a sports fan, had that kind of clairvoyance of like, you could be a sports broadcaster one day. This was 19 years before I ever did anything in sports radio or sports media. But ever since then, I love the Winter Olympics, right? I just like the figure skating. To me is my favorite. And it's the women more than the men. The men are great. They're able to hit the triples, or we see the quad god right now for the US. The pairs are good. The ice dancing, I don't love as much, but there's just something about the elegance and the grace of the women's figure skating. And, going back to, early on with Christy Yamaguchi and Michelle Kwan and Tara Lipinski and Hughes. And there's just something about these women, the music, the way they're able to put it all together. 4 years for 90 seconds, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, and then the emotion that they are overcome with. It's incomparable. There's just something beautiful about watching women's figure skating. And just, again, it goes back to my grandfather, it goes back to my lineage, back to Switzerland, because that's what my great grandparents were doing. Not the only sport that I love. Over time, I've really enjoyed the kind of the downhill with the skiing, and I think adding the snowboarding element to it, just so phenomenal to be able to see what these athletes have done. It sucks to see Lindsey Vonn at 41 go down like she did, but kudos to her for working all the way back up and to be able to put herself in a position to be able to get down the mountain once again. I'd be remiss if I didn't mention curling. I really enjoy curling. I think Team USA has gotten so much better over the years. It used to be a joke about USA being involved, throwing the rocks there, but they're in there, and I like that big time. And then, of course, hockey. I mean, my Olympic hockey, always think back to TJ Oshie, right? And what he was able to do years ago in the shootout against the Russians. And for so many years as a kid that grew up playing hockey, we were always second best. And I remember those teams of the 90s and I know we did win the World Cup in 90, I think it was 96, with Mike Richter in goal. When that team had Lindros and Lemieux and Gretzky and Messier. And I still, to this day, don't understand how the U.S. was able to win that. But I've been waiting for many years, and it sucks because I really think one of the guys that it would have been great if we were able to play 4 or 5 years ago, because then that guy like Patrick Kane would have been more involved, because in my mind, the greatest, U.S. men's hockey player of all time, and Patrick Kane he's one of one. But I think this is really our best shot to be able to win gold, because of you look at how the makeup of this team is, and also because of I think the makeup of the other top team, and now of course that's Team Canada. If you look up front, I mean, when you have a team like Connor McDavid and Nathan McKinnon and Sidney Crosby, I mean, that 1-2-3 punch right there with arguably the two greatest players on the planet and a surefire bona fide first ballot Hall of Famer, top 10, 15, 20 player of all time, who's still playing at a high level. It's awfully tough. But when you look at what the USA can combat them with, when you have Austin Matthews playing with a guy like Jake Gensel, who has been fantastic for the Tampa Bay Lightning, and then Matt Boldy, who I think is wonderful for the Minnesota Wild. And I think the ultimate wild card in this is Jack Eichel playing between Brady and Matthew Tkachuk. And we do not love cheering for Matthew Tkachuk, obviously, when he's playing for the Florida Panthers against our Tampa Bay Lightning. But, man, when he's donning the red, white, and blue, I'm sorry. I love you, Coop, JBB, and Hagel, but I'm a U.S. hockey guy through and through. I've been a USA hockey guy way before I was ever a Tampa Bay Lightning fan. That is for sure. So, for now, I'm Team USA all the way, and especially when you have a guy like Charlie McAvoy, and you look at that first line D pair, and this is the reason why I think there's going to be a difference, is I like I think it's pretty much, I think it's a slight edge for Canada when it comes to the top six guys, because, again, you have Matthews, Gensel, and Boldy, which I really enjoy, and then Eichel with the Tkachuks on both sides. The bottom six is what worries me a little bit about. Team USA does not bringing Jason Robertson and Cale Caulfield hurt them. Do they not score enough goals? I do like that Tage Thompson is involved this time around. He wasn't involved with the Four Nations. Dylan Larkin played fantastic for the U.S. in the Four Nations. So hopefully he can kind of bring that same type of game. The captain of the Detroit Red Wings, Vinny Trocheck, has not had a great year with the Rangers, but this is a face-off winning machine that can really help you. I like the bottom six of the Canadians a lot better, especially if a guy like Brandon Hagel and Sam Bennett are down there. I think they have an advantage up front slightly with the top six, and I think a lot more on the bottom six. But with that being said, I think Team USA has a considerable advantage both on the blue line and in between the pipes. Now, Jordan Binnington has been incredible, or he was incredible for the Four Nations there for Canada. John Cooper trusts that kid so much, but he's been horrible for the St. Louis Blues this year, and that is a big, big problem. On the U.S. side, I look at Connor Hellebuck, who, it's him and Vazzy to me for the last 10 years, the best goalie in the league. But he has dealt with an injury this year. He has not looked great. So could it be a Jake Ottinger? Could it be a Jeremy Swayman? This is as deep, I think, as the goaltending has been for the Team USA in a really long time. And the thing that buoys me is I think arguably the best position group for the U.S. is the defense. I mean, that first D pairing with Charlie McAvoy and Quinn Hughes is the best in the tournament out of any team. Charlie McAvoy, losing him in the Four Nations, I think U.S. might have won the championship if he was still healthy. Remember, he had that really crappy health scare. Then he took that crazy hit from that Florida player last week, but he's wearing a full shield. He's going to go. And Quinn Hughes couldn't play. He's the best defenseman we have in this country. He didn't even play in the Four Nations. So our first D pairing, love it. The fact that we have Jacob Slavin, who for many years has been the number one shutdown defenseman in the game, with a guy like Brock Faber, who's just getting better and better and better on the right side. And then our third D pairing, whether it's a Jake Sanderson playing, Zach Werenski is the best offensive defenseman outside of Cale Makar. He's got 20 goals already this year. I really enjoy that. I think the coaching is kind of, as much as I love John Cooper, I mean, Sully's a great coach too, has a Stanley Cup on his resume. So I cannot wait. I'm excited for Team Sweden and see what Victor Hedman can do. Glad that he was able to get healthy and get back in the groove there. He's an assistant captain with Erik Karlsson, obviously the captain for that team. Did I just have a complete? Oh, it's Gabriel Landeskog. Duh, man, that was a complete mind cramp right there. And then, obviously the Finns, and we have a lot of Tampa Bay Lightning representation. I saw Eric Chernak was named an assistant captain for Slovakia. Thomas Tatar, the captain there. Really good stuff to be able to see our guys go out there and represent their countries. We'll be supporting them. But again, it's Team USA hockey all the way for me. All right, last but certainly not least, we got to show love to our USF Bulls. I mean, you look at what USF was able to do on the hardcourt this weekend. I mean, my God. I look at Saturday and that game, and I was coaching 2 games on Saturday out in Bradenton down at 8 and 10 or 8 and 12 in the morning. Drove back, took a shower, went over to the Yuengling Center to watch Coach and the crew over there, Coach Michelle Woods Baxter, and I was so thoroughly impressed with what the girls did. I thought it was one of the best games that I ever watched at the Yuengling Center. Men, women, whatever. The fact that they were able to share the basketball, 25 assists. Carla Brito had 19 rebounds. They had 6 players in double digits. 3 of them had 13 points. 3 of them had 14 points. Davidson with her 1,500th point. I have not seen a more well-rounded effort from a team ever, probably at the Yuengling Center. I really hope that Coach Michelle Woods Baxter gets an opportunity to coach this team next year. And we saw it after we tragically lost Amir Abdur-Rahim, where Ben Fletcher did a great job as the interim coach, but they ended up moving on, and they brought in Coach Brian Hodson, and more on them in a second. Jose Fernandez went to the WNBA in the Dallas Wings very late in the process. Now you look at some of the girls that, and some people say, well, they stayed and they didn't transfer. And that is a great thing. Don't get me wrong. But also it was late in the process, and teams for the most part were kind of locked into where they were at. But you can tell the camaraderie and the chemistry with that group. And again, led by Carla Brito, who's been there for the last couple of years and has been through all the ups and downs and all the different coaches. I hope they fare well down the stretch, because if they do a good job and they win, they do a great job at home. If they can continue to play well, if they can win the conference tournament, they can find a way in the NCAAs, I think Coach Michelle will get an opportunity. I really hope that they give her a shot. I really do, because I love her. She's fantastic. She gets it. And we'll see. I hope she gets an opportunity to kind of put her own group together for 2027 and beyond, or 2026 and beyond. And then the men with a big win over Tulsa yesterday. I really wanted an opportunity to go to that game, but we won, so I had to keep going. First place in the American. I cannot say enough nice things about Coach Brian Hodgson, Isaiah Nelson, best player in the league, no doubt. I'd be very surprised if he wasn't the American Conference Player of the Year. He just continues to perform at a high level, whether it's scoring, whether it's rebounding. He just does it all. I'm very excited. For all the information, go usfbulls.com. It was good to see the softball girls out there. I know they fell to Florida, but I think it was 5-1 or 6-1. Florida run rules everybody. So the fact that they were in it, this is what they do. Coach Ken does not ease into the season. He jumps in with both feet, and the team better be ready. So yeah, go usfbulls.com. Baseball starts this week. Very, very exciting. There's a lot of, I think there's like 21 games over the weekend for South Florida. So make sure you go out there and support Rob Higgins and support Derek Brooks and everybody there at USF. All right, guys, that's going to wrap it up for me today on the program. I got to get ready for practice. Got to get something to eat. Off tomorrow. Back in action on Wednesday. Eric Erlinson's going to join us on the show, and then Friday we're off as well. So 2 more shows this week, Wednesday and Thursday. A big thank you to Ian Beckles for joining us on the program today. Make sure you follow him at Ian Beckles Show. Follow me at Jay Recher, Honest Hammer Custom Builders, LLC, Evra Health as well. Big thank you to our Super Chats as well. Chan, he was on one today. My guy Chan, he was ready to roll. Yeah. At Jay Retro on all social media platforms. I love you all. I hope you all are well, and we'll see you on Wednesday at noon right here on the Jay Retro.